Welcome back to the Poorly Educated podcast, Today in the News, the show where we try to explain global geopolitics using the same logic you'd hear from three cousins arguing over deer jerky in the parking lot of a Dollar General. Brother, today's news looks like somebody tried to deep fry the entire world and forgot to thaw it first. We got wars, boycotts, political purges, sunshine flares, snowstorms, spectrum fights, and a peace plan so lopsided, it looks like my Uncle Larry's pickup after he tried hauling a hot tub tied down with dental floss. Let's get into it before the planet flips over like an overcooked pancake. Segment 1, The Geneva Gobble. America tries to end a war before Thanksgiving. Now, brother, America rolled into Geneva like it was the world's most uncomfortable family potluck, except instead of arguing about casserole recipes, we were telling Ukraine they gotta hand over half the kitchen to Russia. We cooked up a 28-point peace plan so crooked it needs a chiropractor. It's got Ukraine giving up Crimea, slicing off the Donbass, and promising not to join NATO ever again, like telling somebody they can live in the neighborhood, but they ain't allowed at the HOA meeting. And Trump slapped on a Thanksgiving deadline like he's hosting a political Black Friday sale. Deal ends Thursday. No returns. No dignity. Meanwhile, Europe's screaming, Munich, Munich, like they're trying to summon a ghost. I swear this whole plan is so lopsided, even my cousin Skeeter said, "Dang, that's rough." And he once tried to sell a car with no engine by calling it a gravity-powered drivetrain. Segment 2, The G20 Boycott. America no-showed the party and still tried to run it. The United States decided to skip the G20 summit in South Africa, which is basically like not showing up to the family reunion and still calling grandma to tell her not to take the group photo without you. Trump said he was boycotting because of issues with white farmers, but the rest of the world said, "Cool story, bro," and passed the Johannesburg Declaration anyway. That's right. The G19 went rogue. They did the whole declaration before the summit even started, which is the diplomatic version of eating Thanksgiving dinner before the late cousin gets there. Now the world's running on solidarity and multilateral and climate justice. And America's over here yelling, "Wait, we didn't approve this." I ain't seen a power move fail this hard since I tried to flip a pancake without using a spatula. Segment 3, The GOP Purge and the Epstein Files. The Chaos Double Feature. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned from Congress after getting into a political screaming match with Trump so ugly it made the Jerry Springer reruns blush. She said she ain't gonna be a battered wife to the GOP, and Trump immediately renamed her Marjorie Traitor Brown, which means she's officially graduated from ally to WWE heel. Meanwhile, Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act with a bigger majority than free biscuits at Cracker Barrel. They're releasing thousands of files with almost no redactions except for national security, which is Washington speak for whatever helps me roast my enemies. I expect the internet to melt faster than butter on a church potluck roll. Brother, this is the first time in history both parties agreed on something, and of course it's to unleash the world's spiciest blackmail folder. Segment 4, Big Tech Battles, Google on trial, OpenAI on turbo, and India says hold up. America's tech scene looks like a demolition derby. First, you got Google being told by the DOJ that its ad business is such a monopoly it needs to be chopped up like a deer in hunting season. Judge says she wants a remedy quick, which is funny because the government moves slower than molasses on a January morning. Meanwhile, OpenAI teamed up with Foxconn to build AI hardware right here in the USA, which is ironic since Foxconn is from Taiwan, meaning to avoid relying on Asia, we're now relying on Asia. That's redneck logic even I admire. And India's arguing with Apple, Amazon, Meta, and the whole Silicon Valley possum pack over who gets the 6 gigahertz spectrum. It's basically a fight over invisible real estate. Only tech companies could argue over airwaves and make it sound like the Hatfields and McCoys. Segment 5. Crisis zones. Beirut goes boom and Nigeria says don't come here. Israel hit central Beirut for the first time in ages, taking out a Hezbollah commander and 5 others. That's like skipping straight past slapping the table and going directly to flipping it. Washington's response so far is basically, interesting. Meanwhile, Nigeria had over 300 kids kidnapped by Boko Haram and ISWAP, and Trump threatened to send in the Marines like it's an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger. Nigeria said, "We appreciate the help, but also, absolutely not." They don't want America cowboying in solo because it could turn a kidnapping crisis into a multinational jihad jamboree. Brother, if there's one thing the world agrees on, it's that America means well but tends to stomp around like a bull in a ballet class. Segment 6. Weather and space. Snow, floods, fog, and the sun getting emotional again. Colorado mountains getting 10 inches of snow, California drowning in atmospheric river rain, Texas getting pelted with hailstones big enough to qualify as bowling balls, and airports across the country are foggier than my cousin Earl after he hits his vape. And if the earth wasn't chaotic enough, the sun said, "Hold my beer," and shot out a C6.6 flare. Scientists say we might get geomagnetic storms this week. Redneck translation. Your radio might crackle, your GPS might burp, and northern folks might see the sky glow like God left the porch light on too long. Segment 7. NFL Week 12. Injuries, underperformers, and Shadir Sanders saves Ohio. Jets versus Ravens looks like a raccoon versus a freight train. Injuries everywhere. Joe Burrow's toe exploded. Giants lost Jackson Dart, Seahawks barely holding it together, and Shadir Sanders is now the Browns' starting QB, proving once again that if your dad is Deion Sanders, you can just skip half the NFL struggle. Week 12 has more backups than my toilet after Thanksgiving dinner. This whole season feels like God tried to simulate football on a laptop from 2009. In conclusion, brother, the world today looks like somebody spilled a whole bucket of chaos onto the global stovetop, and now everything's sizzling, popping, and smoking at the same time. America's pushing a peace plan that ain't peaceful, skipping summits it still wants to control, purging politicians like it's spring cleaning, unleashing the Epstein files like Pandora's shoebox, fighting big tech with one hand while propping up AI hardware with the other, and watching wars, weather, and football all collide into one giant cosmic fender bender. But don't you worry. We'll be here tomorrow, still poorly educated, still confused, and still ready to explain it all like your cousin who thinks he's a genius because he won a Facebook argument in 2017. Stay safe, stay warm, and stay weird.